Not as man sees does God see, because he looks into the heart. That sentence was buried in the reading from the first book of Samuel that described who would succeed Saul as king of the Israelites. Several candidates were presented to God, but God rejected all of them. Instead, he picked the most unlikely candidate, a young man, we heard it said, a shepherd who had an appealing features, and God said, anoint him. He's the one I want. The prophet Samuel took oil and poured it over David's head, and you heard it said that the Holy Spirit rushed into David. Not as man sees, but God sees. God looked into his heart, and he found that David's heart was similar to his own heart or mind. This exchange got me thinking about our own baptism, how we are anointed. When oil is poured upon us, and the Holy Spirit rushes into our lives. All of that happens, by the way. We don't give much thought to it, but all of that happens during the ritual of baptism. God is choosing us as well. And some of us are unlikely candidates, just like David was. In choosing each one of us, he wants us to know that he looked into our hearts, and he wanted each one of us as his own. God looked into the heart of a young woman, by the way, named Agnes, who was martyred in the years 300 or so in Rome, and who we memorialize today, hence the red martyrdom. And devotion to her, by the way, is ancient, and her name is included in the Roman canon in the first Eucharistic prayer as well. And succeeding generations have not forgotten her. In fact, she remains for some a relevant patron saint in our world of child abuse. David had a heart that followed the mind of God. He would betray the trust that God had in him, but was still one of God's chosen ones. Agnes also had a heart that followed God, and you know, so do we. And we can say this because we too have been anointed, and the Holy Spirit has rushed into our lives. And in spite of our own human failings, the truth remains, God has chosen each one of us. So as we go about our life today, make every effort to see others as God sees them. Every effort to see others as God does, made in his image and likeness. And in our prayer today, let us ask God to help us see others again as he sees them, and to look into their hearts and not judge them by their appearances.